The bigger ones are really
All right, I'm excited to not hear it humming.
Yeah, how about when they turn the screen on because they can hear us already? Yeah, there it is.
No.
Hi, everybody. Yep, we're starting to get clued in on John's little tricks here
didn't
of when
know
he's
it.
going to start. Yep, this is the DLS Dallas Stars
Wow, I
pregame
start
show.
the show when we're supposed to start the show. Is that my dirty trick?
The dirty trick is doing it without saying, "Hey guys, we're live." Because we started. I kid you not. We started with, "I'm gonna click it." Wait 3 or 4 seconds.
Oh yeah, he was really nice to us.
And then he
at the
would say
beginning.
live, and
well,
then
the thing
we'd go.
delays about 9 seconds or 2 seconds, depending on I don't know what day it is.
John was really
so.
sweet early on.
He was. Now it's all terror.
And now you people have broken me. This is what happens in media.
Agent of chaos. So, Buds, Sam, you saw John already. We're here. Let's talk Stars versus Wild. All right, it's Saturday, it's game day, and it's a place that Jake Oettinger loves. This is the DLS Dallas Stars pregame show. Craig Ludwig, Sam Nestler, I'm Owen Newkirk. Thanks so much for joining us. Our agent of chaos, aka our producer John Anderson, is here as well. Thanks for joining us as we get ready. Yeah, he's got the bell ready for Stars versus Wild, the first one of the year. And this is an interesting one. We'll talk all about the matchup as we get through this. But Jake Oettinger loves playing against the Minnesota Wild. In fact, I asked him after the game in Boston a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was in October now. It feels like it was only a couple weeks ago. If he was bummed or, hey, you like playing in Boston? He said it was his second favorite place to play at TD Garden because he went there a lot when he was at BU. They watched a lot of Bruins games. He said, I was a fan. He was playing with Charlie McAvoy at BU, and McAvoy was a Bruins draft pick, so he had tickets, so he took him to games. He said, number one, XL Energy Center in Minnesota because he's got his family there, his home state of Minnesota. And look, we know that Jake Oettinger wants to be on Team USA. Well, most hockey fans probably, I think this whole panel agrees, Connor Hellebuck is the shoe-in for the starter for the Four Nations for the United States, unless something happens. Knock on wood. We hope he stays healthy. But the battle heating up between Jake Oettinger, Jeremy Swayman for the backup position, because I think that right now, as we've talked about before, it probably looks like all three of them will make that roster. And Thursday night, Jake definitely had the better of Swayman. So where does this race stand? Well, we asked our buddy Steve Peters, a.k.a. Petey, who's from the PHNX version and the All Utah Hockey podcast of our All-City network. It's maybe take a look at the numbers and the tape to see where the battle is between Swayman and Oettinger. Petey, take it away.
I'm Petey with the All-City Network, and today we're taking a closer look at the goaltending battle for Team USA for the Four Nations face-off between Jake Oettinger and Jeremy Swayman. We got to look at the numbers first, and the numbers all go in Jake Oettinger's way. Wins this season, Oettinger with 8, Swayman with 5. Oettinger's winning 73% of his games this season. Goals against, Oettinger again, 2.39 to 3.35 for Swayman. Save percentage, Oettinger again, 914 versus an 888 for Swayman. But in today's game, you have to look at the advanced stats. And the advanced stats for goaltending, Oettinger again. High danger save percentage. And hey, this is a tournament with high danger players getting shots from high danger areas. Oettinger wins again, saving 82.5% of the shots from high danger areas. Swayman, 76.9. And goals saved above expected, Oettinger's at a .527, means he's saving half a goal more per game than is expected. And you look at Swayman, it's a minus .38. And you got to go to one more stat. We talked about the games this season of giving up more than 3 goals in a game. Only happened to Oettinger twice this season. Swayman, 5 times. And lastly, 2 goals or less this season. Oettinger's done it 7 out of 11 times. 64% of the games he's played this year, Oettinger's given up 2 or less. Swayman, done it 4 times out of 13 for a 31% of the time. And you got to look at experience. Playoff games, Oettinger's played those high-pressure games before. He's played 47 playoff games, winning 23 of them. Swayman, 18 playoff games with 9 wins. Lastly, you got to look at international play because when you wear USA on your sweater, it just hits different. Again, all goes to Oettinger. Played for the National Development Program for 2 seasons, won medals in the under-17, the under-18, and the World Junior Championship, and a bronze with the men's World Championship. Swayman, he's got some international experience. He played in 1 men's World Championships, and he did play in the World Junior Championships as well, but didn't see much action. But it's not always about the numbers. Now it's time to go to the video and check these 2 goalies out. Let's start with Jeremy Swayman. He's a really good goaltender, and one of his strengths is his ability to move side to side and make lateral plays. You see it here. He gets over quickly, uses his big body, and he's able to make a save. Going to see it again. His ability to get over laterally when the puck moves side to side. He's quick and he gets his body over. He's very athletic. You talk about his ability to stretch and use his athleticism. Well, you can see it here where he gets all the way over and makes the save. But Dallas Stars fans know, because you've seen it recently last week, he can struggle. And one of the areas he struggles with is goals and shots from in tight. Here it is on a rebound in tight. You're going to see it again, lateral movement from in tight where he gives up another goal. Then you're going to see it from a shot from the point, gets a rebound. The rebound drops right in front of the net and gives up another goal from in tight. Saw it again from a play in front of the net. Just can't make this play, and it slides right underneath his legs and goes in for another Dallas Stars goal. But that's this whole season for Swayman. He's struggled from in tight from these areas of the ice, dangerous, high danger areas. He's given up a lot of goals from this area of the ice. You see it over and over again, this time with some traffic in front. And he's unable to make the save. Here he is again against the Florida Panthers. Another goal from in tight. And again, we talked about his movement. If you can get him moving in tight, again, it's those goals in tight off of rebounds that get him moving, and you're able to get it by him. And one other thing that bothers me, it's one of my pet peeves, is the reverse VH. And Jeremy Swayman, even at 6'3", gives up a lot of net up front when he's down in the RVH. Now let's look at Jake Oettinger. When you look at Jake Oettinger, we talked about his high danger saves. He has been outstanding from this area of the ice. He's big, he's square to the shooter, and he makes the saves from in tight. He's hard to beat from in tight. Part of it is his athleticism, his ability to stretch his body out, but he's really dangerous and focused from this area of the ice, and he covers up a lot of the net when he's in tight. He's been outstanding, but he's also great at rebounds. Again, he's quick to get to side. Here it is off his chest, able to get over, stretching out athletically, and making the big save. Again, he's great laterally with his big frame. Focuses on the puck carrier, but he's able to switch and follow the puck across. He's been outstanding, and then he squares up to the shooter. You're going to see it again here, his ability to move laterally, get across, and make the save. Again, against Chicago, laterally, sees through a crowd, gets over it, square to the shooter, and makes the save. Again, athletic, can stretch, just like we saw with Swayman, the same style that Oettinger plays. But he's also very good at focusing on the puck. Here's a 2-on-1, but he focuses on the shooter, and he's able to stay with the shooter and make the save. Here he is again against some of the best players in the world, which is going to have to face in the Four Nations face-off. Here he is against McDavid, squared up and making the save. McDavid in tight. He doesn't give up that top corner, but he's not perfect. There are ways to beat Jake Oettinger. Tips and screens with absolute traffic in front can be a problem for him at times. And again, we talked about side to side through the Royal Road, right through the middle of the ice, can beat Oettinger at times too. But my favorite thing, we talked about the reverse VH, he doesn't give up too many holes from in tight. So when you talk about this race, this one's all Jake Oettinger.
All right, thanks, Petey. Appreciate it as always. And guys, as we look at the battle that we just had, the $66 million showdown on Thursday, Stars won it. And I agree with Steve about the fact that Oettinger has the upper hand, but there's a long time before February. So to think that the decisions have been made and finalized and the slots are set, a lot of things can happen from then.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's a long time between now and then. And I think that for me, what we've seen of these 2 goalies to now, Jake has been the more consistent. Jake has won some games for the Stars when they didn't have things going right. And, we've got a good glimpse of Swayman the other night, and he hasn't really done his part as far as Jake has.
All right, let's talk about some more pressing things here as we get to what happened the other night. Well, the Stars scored 7 for the second straight time, 14 goals in 2 games, the same number they took to score in their previous 5 that they scored in just 2. That's obviously an explosion of offense. One of the guys who scored his first ever NHL goal, part of the 7-goal onslaught against the Bruins, was Oscar Beck, and he was all smiles after the game on Thursday.
What was the feeling like when you knew it went in?
Yeah, it was awesome. You've been kind of waiting for it the last couple games, so yeah, it was a great feeling seeing that one go in.
Is it something that you feel like has been coming for you?
Yeah, I obviously have been like in and out of the lineup, but I feel like the line has been playing good for a couple games now. So yeah, I feel like the whole line is like due for goals now. So it's nice when those go in.
Were you trying to do that? One-handed tip off the cross?
Yeah, that was a little PK poke check right there. So no, I don't know what that was actually. I just tried to hit the puck.
It was nice.
Yeah, it was.
I love it. It was.
Obviously, I had to play that just for the question that Sam asked because he got quite a giggle about not intending to poke that one up over the shoulder of Swayman.
Yeah, I figured it was not fully intentional, so I figured it was funny to bring up. But I love that he played it off like it was. But yeah, big moment for him. I think we talked about it on the post-game show a bunch that was something that was coming. But love to see that and love to see the people around him get so excited and the veterans get excited for him.
They don't ask you how, they just ask you how many, right?
This morning, Pete DeBoer said that Oscar Beck came into the lineup and made a statement, and it's hard to take him out of the lineup. Now, he scored a goal, but it had to be more than just poking the goal in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think every game that we've seen him play, he's always seems to be in the right spots, and he's around the front of the net, and he digs in corners. He works well in his own zone. So for the role that he's in right now as a fourth-line guy, and you just love – I'm surprised that Blackwell's coming out tonight because I think he's been really steady. But again, like Pete said, there's depth here, and we're gonna use our depth. So they are, but there's a lot to like about this kid. I guess he's not really a kid, but
I mean, he's in his 20s. He's been in the AHL. He came over from Sweden, but Tyler Seguin was happy for him, and then got asked about Evgeny Dodonov, and the response was so funny, I just included it. So here's what Seguin had to say after the game on Thursday.
Oscar getting his first goal. What's it like for a veteran to watch something like that?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it brings you back to, the feeling of what it's like, and you only get one of those. So I hope he enjoys it. We definitely gave him the MVP award tonight, and well deserved. He works hard every day.
And Dodonov with the penalty shot. I think he's 4 for 5 in his career.
No way.
Dead serious.
He's like 4th highest in the league.
And it shows how deep our team is. He can't crack the top couple of shootouts. That's impressive.
You don't need
might need to get him out there a bit more. You got guys like Robo and stuff in front of him. I didn't know he had that in his repertoire, so I got to bring that up to him.
It's just a genuine response to, I can't wait to tease one of my teammates about a really good thing. And the reason why I wanted to show both of those LUTs was because the joy of a first NHL goal is magnified when you win big. And the Stars have won big 2 games in a row. And you start to feel pretty confident when you're putting a lot of pucks in the net at the NHL level.
Yeah, most of the time when we see these high scores, it's always the top guys that are doing it. And I like it that the top guys feel good about those guys also. That makes it even more special for the young guys, especially when they're getting their first goal. So what it does, I think it does everything it's supposed to. It brings the room together, and everybody seems to be chipping in.
All right, let's look at the line combinations because, Letty, you just mentioned this. For the forwards, Maverick Bourque is back in the lineup. Oh, we have a super chat?
Yep.
Remember, we don't have to play the super chat right in the middle of the pregame show to bust it up, but we will. For a little Ludwig and Miro, Ardell says, Wisconsin, the land of 10,001 lakes.
I think Minnesota is
10,000 lakes.
10,000 lakes.
And by the way, they're not in Wisconsin.
But there's a lot
tonight.
of lakes.
All right. Well, thank you, Ardell. Always a pleasure.
Extra one. There's an extra one.
So check this out. Maverick Bourque is back in, Luds. And as you said, a little surprised that Colin Blackwell is coming out, but it's because Oscar Beck played so well and scored. Pete said, I can't take him out right now.
I look at it from the role that Blackwell's been playing, and I specifically go to the penalty killing. And I think there has been a couple blips, but from his game in his own zone on the PK. But I look at the steal Blackwell, and we talked in like game 3 or 4, I think it was, and we're like, you can see these guys are going to be the go-to guys, it seemed like at that time. So, and I understand, you got a young player that you have some expectations for. You got to get them in and play them. Now, it'll be interesting to see what they do as far as their penalty kill units go.
It'll be a possibility that Pete has said a couple of times, we have a deep team. To me, the translation is sometimes guys are going to sit out that don't deserve to be sitting out.
That's, I think, the number one thing that good teams have that people don't realize. When you start getting deep and more deep, you want to have those young players playing, right? We talk so much about not sitting out, either go play a ton of minutes down in the AHL or getting in, not sitting out 3, 4, 5 games in a row. And so Pete is stuck to that all year long, and he's putting those guys in. Oscar, I don't think he sat out for more than 3 straight, right? I think it was maybe 2 or 3 before coming back in. So I think it's what we're going to see all year. He's going to get those guys in, and a lot of times it's going to be not something they did wrong that makes them come out, which I think is the case with Blackwell. Not as much with Dumba, but I think that's more so the case with Blackwell.
What are you smirking?
Well, I think that it's a good way that Pete put it that way, because Matt Dumba's going into the lineup tonight. That's because he's home in Minnesota. It's hard to sit him out. Oscar scored a goal. Hard to sit him out. We have a deep team. You don't want to take those guys out after that.
Well, that's the same thing. Dumba got scratched. Let's show the deep pairings because that's a big storyline tonight. Dumba's back in. Star scored 7 against the Penguins with Dumba getting his first healthy scratch of the year, and he gets healthy scratched again against the Bruins because they like the group. Well, here we are tonight. Nils Lundkvist, who played well, I don't really think he did anything wrong, is going to come out, and it's because of twofold. One, I don't think they want a Dumba Lundkvist righty-righty third pair. 2, Brendan Smith has assists in both games. He has 3 points in 2 games. He's played well.
I've done a 180. I mean, we talk about preseason. We're sitting there and we're going, no. Yeah. And that's a veteran, though. It doesn't mean anything right now, and I don't think that's the way his thought process was. But he deserves to stay in. He brings the toughness. He's chipped in a couple of assists, but he brings the toughness. But, if we have a deep team here. You're up 2 games to none in the playoffs. Are you going to change it because you have a deep team? No, you're keeping the same lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I said. I like the way Pete phrases it, though. That's fine. You know what? Dumba played a long time in Minnesota. So if there's a spot that he can get back in and probably wants to, I think guys that are proud players want to prove that you made a mistake, that you didn't bring me back to this team.
Sam, Dumba was a first-round pick for the Wild in 2012, 7th overall in that draft class. He played 10 seasons with the Wild from 2013 through 2023, almost 600 games, 598 regular season games, put up 236 points, 399 penalty minutes, and he was a plus 29. So for the most part, he was a very effective player for them. Also played in 49 playoff games for the Wild. This is going to be an emotional return for him. Now, I know he didn't play, for Minnesota last year. He was playing with the Coyotes and probably had that return, but look, this is the Stars. This is a little different.
Yeah, always. And it's always emotional. We joke about Sagan getting so annoyed with us asking him about going back to Boston, but there's something about it no matter how many times you do it when there's some emotional attachment, whatever that is, whether it's a bad way of them sending you off or whether there was some bad blood or it was something good and you won a cup with them. That's always a special moment for him. And this is not just big for that, right? He has a lot to prove tonight. This is a big game for Dumba. He's going to be on the third pair, so he's not going to be getting the Miro Heiskanen minutes that he was when he was in the lineup early on. He's going to have to make an impact in a smaller amount of time on the ice.
Yeah, Sam, and you know what? When you say it's going to be a big game for him, he has to be careful of how he approaches this kind of a game because there's such a thing as over-try mistakes. And if he wants to kind of ram it up Minnesota's, and over-try, or he wants to over-try because he wants to show that he's going to play next game too, he just needs to be effective and efficient, be a physical guy, and just kind of not ease your way into the game, but just play as close to a mistake-free game as you can. And when I say over-try, I mean by jumping up and getting involved in the play and taking a chance offensively where it turns over and it leads to an outnumbered rush. the other way.
I could do a whole rant about the division format of the playoffs and then the schedule not having the same number of games against all of your division opponents. Last year, the Stars played the Wild only 3 times. This year, they're back to 4. Well, for tonight, more jersey fun. As take a look at what the Minnesota Wild will be wearing tonight as they go with their alternate jerseys at home against the Dallas Stars. And John, if you have the Wild photo 1 for their North Stars jersey, pop that up there.
They're all on one thing here.
Okay, well, go ahead and post it. Well, that's fine. We can do it as all one. So bottom right and bottom left. That is Kaprizov on the left, and is that Foligno on the right, I think, 17?
He's 17.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like him, but that's him, I think.
It may be somebody else modeling the 17 jersey, but that's their look. If you look above them.
That looks like BB.
It is.
It is.
So that's Brian Bellows on the right. I love that action photo I found. It's an old one with the Penguins logo from back in the day. And then there's Mike Modano on the other side. There was a better one, but it was sort of a darker green. So I just wanted to see the differences of what the old North Stars was. And Luds, you wore these jerseys as part of the North Stars. How do you feel about Minnesota with a different franchise wearing these colors against the Stars, which own the historical rights, the trademarks, and the stats for the North Stars?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the logo, to be honest with you. I don't even know what the hell
You're talking
it
about
is.
the new Wild logo,
yeah. I'm not crazy about that logo. I mean, I think the other ones are iconic. I think they've been around for a long time. It's pretty straightforward, North and a star. So I love those jerseys, and I love them 2 guys on top, too.
I like the stars on the pants, too. That sort of like little accent of the stars down the sides of the hips. Just a nice little addition to that.
I have that jersey, the Modano.
And
North
the green.
Stars
Oh, I still actually have a pair of the Minnesota North Stars, the knitted socks.
When you see that shot of Mo up there, doesn't it look like he's always like a deer in headlights? Like, what just happened?
Huh?
What's going on? I mean, his whole career is like that. Then he just goes and
he
scores
scores
over 500 goals.
Well, that'll stoke the 2 fan bases tonight because there's always a little bit of something going on between Stars fans and Wild fans. And lately, guys, it has not been a good thing for the Minnesota Wild. Last year, the Stars won all 3 games, and it weren't even close. It was a combined 19-5 score, and Dallas is on a 10-game point streak against the Wild. The last time the Stars lost to the Wild in regulation was in November, so it's almost exactly the day, November 18th, 2021, where they got thumped 7-2. And if I'm not mistaken, I didn't actually look this up, but it just came in my head. Isn't that the game that Jake came on in relief and played? Because I think it might have been an Anton Hudobin start, but Jake might have come on as a relief. Well, now he's the starter, and it has been very good for recent history. But the difference is this Wild team is playing a lot better to start the season than they have the last couple of years the Stars have met them.
They are, but they're missing a couple key pieces. Zuccarello's out for a little while, and that's a big.
Did you see the injuries?
loss.
Yeah.
So the video from Thursday night, they played Montreal. He took a shot to the groin area and then immediately had surgery that night. And they didn't give any details. They just said it's a lower body injury out at least 3 to 4 weeks. Let your imagination run wild. That sounds very uncomfortable.
I'm trying not to get visual here.
It's nothing good, that's for sure.
I mean, he got either hit on the cup or near it, and something required surgery out of that. I don't know what it is, but
Do they all wear cups?
What?
of course they do.
Just asking. Of course they do. You'd think they all wear
but I will
specific
say
equipment back in the day.
there has been a couple players that would surprise you that didn't wear cups.
That would terrify me to do
Oh,
that.
Lord, yes.
They freeze the vulcanized rubber so that it doesn't bounce and it glides better. That means it's more uncomfortable. I would not want to do that.
Nobody wears it in lacrosse.
There are a lot of football players
Except
that
for
don't
goalies.
wear it. Oh,
Yeah,
I knew
football
goalies
too.
in lacrosse in high school.
Football, again, hockey pucks, sticks, the cup check, so to speak.
Helmet going to nuts.
What about beer league? I know you do. I guarantee it. But
Absolutely.
does everybody else? You think?
I know guys that don't.
Yeah, I
I-
wouldn't be surprised.
I
I know.
don't.
I mean, a lot of guys don't wear shoulder
I don't wear
pads
it
or
in beer
something.
league.
Yeah,
I don't
I
wear
don't.
shoulder pads either.
Yeah. Oh, I do. But anyway,
Okay,
Throw the body
so
around.
back to this. Luddy mentioned the injuries. Matt Zuccarello is out. They're also missing Yul Eriksson Ek and Jonas Brodin, although Brodin did skate this morning, so he's getting closer.
That's a big loss for them.
Show them the D pairings for a minute. He's one of their top 4, Luds, and he's a really steady guy for the Wild.
Brodin?
Yes.
He's the Essa Lindell. I mean, if you
Yeah.
compare them two, that's kind of what they are. Brodin when it comes to expected goals against, him and Faber were number 1 in the NHL.
Is that right?
When they play together. That this year's, 17, 20 games, whatever it is. So Brodin, I expect, and then for Dallas in the 30s is obviously Essa and Miro, but Miro is also in there in another pairing. So I look at Brodin. I was looking at it as it would be key to look at Brodin and Essa tonight, but not so much with Brodin out. That obviously an advantage, and that line that we talked about with Zuccarello out isn't the same,
Show
right?
the forwards there,
and
John.
that's that line right there. Boldy's been playing well. So, but if when they're missing Zuccarello, Zuccarello
huge.
and Kaprizov have that thing, whatever
They
that
do,
thing is.
especially on the power play. They zip it around. I remember when the Stars traded for Zuccarello, Jim Montgomery was the coach for Dallas at the time, and he said he instantly makes everybody better on the ice, and he said he's already our best passer, best playmaker.
Yeah.
The very next shift after Zuccarello got hit in the midsection, Joel Eriksson Ek had a non-contact lower body injury, limped off. He's not playing. He's a huge guy, big center, lot in the faceoffs. Losing 2 of their top 6 is not going to be easy. And you can see there's some new names because Mikey Milne is going to make his NHL debut tonight on the 4th line.
Go ahead and say that, centerman, would you?
I believe it's Kunutsdinov.
I looked at it all day long, and I just wanted to hear Owen say it tonight.
Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, so Marat Kuznetsdinov is their 4th line center, and I said it about a dozen times today because that is a bit of a mouthful.
You know what I want to see, John? Can you show the shot that you started the open with? I thought
the thumbnail.
Yeah, the thumbnail, whatever. Thumbnail. I don't know all the jargon.
This one?
I just saw that and I thought that was so appropriate. Obviously Otter, but there's going to be a lot of this matchup here if you're watching on the right side with Miro and Kaprizov. Now, are they going to try to get away from that matchup? That will be interesting to see what Minnesota does because Kaprizov's been on fire too.
He is the 2nd leading scorer in the NHL right now. Only Nathan McKinnon has more points. He has a team leading 10 goals. He's tied with Boldy. Boldy's been on a bit of a goal scoring streak lately. He just keeps scoring. He has 10 goals, 20 assists, 30 points. So he is 2nd in the league in points, 3rd in assists, and tied for 10th in goals. And I have this image in my head of him literally heaving the Wild on his shoulders and carrying them to this record of 11-2 and 3 to start.
He's going to look like that when he gets paid too, but it's going to be a wallet that he's trying to throw up there on his shoulder. He's going to need some help. I'm curious to watch tonight what they try to do with Kaprizov. I mean, in Minnesota, they're going to have last change. It'll be interesting to see if they want to if Hines wants to try to get Kaprizov against somebody besides Essa and Miro. And if that is the case, do you split those 2 up so that you get one of those 2 that can maybe play against more minutes against Kaprizov?
John, flip up those forwards again. Sam, Luddy was talking about the difference of forwards is the 2nd line left winger tonight is going to be Ogren. He was recalled on an emergency basis from the Iowa Wild. Now, he did score a hat trick in his last game for the AHL Wild, but he hadn't played for a while and got sent down. So you're asking a young guy who's, again, working on dealing with what a lot of young guys do, figuring out the NHL level to come in and play a spot. You know, it's not going to be exactly Zuccarello's spot or Eriksson X because they move Boldy back to the middle, but that's not an ideal situation for the Wild. And I'd be curious to see if the Stars can take advantage of it because, look, there are some good players in this group, but if I look at the balance here, I think the Stars head-to-head do better as far as their depth. You agree?
For sure.
Yeah. I think that this is why I don't think any of us had them in our playoff position in our predictions. They look like a team that if those guys are going really, really well, they could do well, which they are right now. Those guys were doing really well until the injuries. But yeah, you're right. You come into it. Basically, you have 3 or 4 guys that can really have to carry the team. 2 of them are out. This guy's coming in, has to fill the shoes. He has to come in and not try to fill those shoes, right?
Jason Robertson, Rope Hintz combined for a goal against the Bruins. I say that when you stack them up, Dallas is better, but they have to be executing, performing to be better, especially that line. Because we know the Duchesne line's been money so far.
Yeah, it's just it's a robo for me. You know, it was nice that Hintz found a way. He went to the front of the net the other night, gets a goal. But Robo just doesn't seem engaged. And you mentioned his injury coming back from a foot thing, which it very well could be. But I was just looking at some numbers today, and just if you kind of go back, and one was the shots. I mean, he's had his last 3 years, 231 shots, 313 shots, 220. Right now he's on pace for 175-ish.
And he was in the upper echelons of the NHL as far as the rankings for shots.
Yeah. And then the other side of all that is when I look at it, like his output. Like last year, it's kind of gone down. When you look at 44, 28 goals, started with 40, what was that, 2022, whatever, then 44, then 28. He's on pace for 22 this year. So it's going in the wrong direction. But to me, it's about getting more pucks to that, getting into that interior a little bit more, because I see him on the perimeter, but maybe there is something that's bothering him. He can't get to the interior. I don't know. I don't want to call him out on that yet.
And he's at about a half a point a game, where he's been a point a game or better pace his entire career. Yeah. So something to keep an eye on. I think the Stars definitely feel pretty good about going to Minnesota after their last 2 games, but they still have to execute for Jake Oettinger, the hometown guy, playing in Minnesota tonight against the Wild. We'll check in with you after the game, our full post-game show right after tonight's Stars versus Wild contest. Let's go watch it on Victory Plus.
We all silly like the mayor.